Hello, I'm Pastor Dave McElwee, and this is a Monday morning recap of yesterday's sermon for December 20th. Here we go. There are times when we want things our way, but that doesn't always work out for us. If nothing else, we see this every time we get to the end of the college football season. We see the head coaching carousel, and we see how oftentimes our desires don't often interact with reality, and they really can cause some issues. What this really shows us, and what we know from our human existence, is people tend to look for immediate actions and results, and not future events. It's something we do all too well. We can be very short-sighted and want things our way as we want them right now, but that's not always a good thing. And it comes into our faith as well. And when we look at it through the eyes of faith, something becomes very apparent. What we think should be done is not always what God wants done. A lot of this comes from the fact that we have different goals and outlooks than God. And something distinct arises from this. There are several things. First off, God is not about instant gratification. We are the people who tend to want things right now. God can take the divine time. And we see this throughout history at how long it takes prophecies to be fulfilled. They're not always an immediate action. And this really does come about because sometimes we are very short-sighted. We're not looking through the grand scope of history and beyond our lifetimes. We have a limited scope. And that kind of limits us a little bit. It can actually lead us to make decisions that aren't good for us, especially when it comes to our faith. Because there are things that God can see that we can't. And God is perceiving things that we're incapable of doing so. And it really reminds us that there are maybe things that we do not see. And even beyond that, we also get that reminder that the ways of God are never just about us. That's another way we limit ourselves, is we're limited to what we see, what we perceive, and we can be very self-centered and not see ourselves as part of a greater scheme, as part of a greater creation. So really, as much as we even try, our vision, our perception, our experience is limited. And we can never compete with God's vision and foresight for the entire universe, all creation. And that's something that God laid bare to David. David wanted to build the temple, but God, through Nathan, told David that was not his role, but for the next king to come. And we need to model our actions after David's, and accept and surrender to the divine plan and the divine will, and allow God to move through history and all the years and be a part of God's great plan. So that's your recap for this week. Remember, we worship at 8:45 at East Salem, and we live stream that service. 10:15 at Otterbein. With everything going on, if you're at all able, please worship in service. Also, pay attention for announcements regarding Christmas and what we may be doing if the weather holds. But until next Sunday, I'm Pastor Dave, and I hope to see you online or in our pews.